got color in your cheeks. You ever get that feel that you can't shift, the tide that sticks around like summits in your teeth? Are there some aces up your sleeve? Have you no idea that you're in deep? I dreamt about you nearly every night this week. How many secrets can you keep? 'Cause there's this tune I found that makes me think of you somehow, and I play it on repeat until I fall asleep, spilling drinks on my settee. Do I wanna know if this feeling flows both ways? Sorta hoping that you'd stay. We both know that the nights were mainly made for saying things that you can't say tomorrow day. Crawling back to you. Never thought I'd call and run. You're right, you, 'cause I always do. Maybe I'm too busy being lost to fall right in you. Now I'm going through, crawling back to you. So have you got the goods? Been wondering if your heart's still open, and if so, I wanna know what time it should. Simmer down and poker up. I'm sorry to interrupt, it's just I'm constantly on the cuff. I've tried then to kiss you. I don't know if you feel the same as I do.
Welcome, 12th man, 12s, 12th lady, and Hawks Nation around the world. Guess what, folks? It's that time of the week, Tuesday, 7 p.m. Pacific time, 10 p.m. Eastern. It's 12 for 12. It's your show for the 12th man, 12 topics, all about you and for you on your behalf of yours truly, Mr. Paul Beyer. I'll tell you what, folks, it's been another busy week in Hawks Nation, and I'll tell you, even more so, it's been a fantastic day. We'll get into all of that news as we get through the Hawks 12 this evening. Huge show tonight, again, as we break down the 2014 schedule, talk about all of the biggest news of this week, along with the VMAC, what happened down at the VMAC a little earlier today with Earl Thomas signing a new 4-year contract extension, making him the highest paid safety in the game. Also, Joshua Davis from 12th Man Rising. He'll be coming in a little bit after the bottom of the hour. And Joshua, it'll be his second appearance here with us. And he's a great guy. He's going to talk a lot about I want to talk about his article and also the schedule, but I want to talk about his article regarding national media and how they're already calling the Seahawks' chances of repeating basically a zilch. Look forward to talking to him about that. Again, just to make sure everyone is clear on what we're trying to accomplish here on this show. Obviously, I do this out of the kindness of my heart, but I do it because I love it. I do it because I have a passion for our Seahawks, and I know you do too. And so with that being said, all I ask is for a little bit of help. And what that help requires is I have some goals. The site just went through our 6th-month birthday. Not that I can call it officially a birthday because it's got to be a year. But, hey, we'll get there soon enough. But I have some goals, and those goals basically need your help. And what they basically entail at this point in time is I want to get I love the magic number 12, right? And I've talked about that a lot. And so I want to get these numbers rounded off. One, to the amount of unique visitors visiting 12for12s.com on a daily basis, which has just been skyrocketing. But I want to get that number to 120,012 by September 4th, that opening day a game against the Green Bay Packers, which should be absolutely outstanding. Also, by that date, I want to get my overall followers on Twitter to 12,012. So, again, that magic number, folks, again, is always going to be 12. I just appreciate everybody out there that listens to this show, all the feedback I get, and also those that follow the rest of us on Double OT Network with Tim and Barry. Did I just do a couple of times? I did. I apologize for that. But the TJ over on the Nerd Show, Sports Nerd Show, and the Ungaros. So I just, again, thank you, everybody, and what you're doing. We're doing a great thing. We're building something special here. Well, I'll tell you what. Let's get to the big show because we got a busy one tonight. Opening commentary this evening is going to be called Iconic. But before that, let me tell you that tonight the sponsorship for this opening commentary is TYJ Movement. To check out all the great gear at tyjmovement.com. Their hip and stylish designs will dress you for every occasion. Do yourself the pleasure of joining up with the TYJ Movement at tyjmovement.com. Remember, use Paul2OT, I should say, Paul2OT, to get 20% off your order. Okay? Well, what are we going to talk about here with Iconic? Well, there's been some stuff that came out this week. One, I think it's important to mention, our players on the Seahawks are getting more national recognition. And one of those was obviously Richard Sherman being listed in the Time magazine, 100 most influencing people. Now, in that, he was listed in the pioneer aspect of this. So we'll get into that a little later. I have a topic about that. But before that, I wanted to explore Iconic, the meaning of Iconic, and do we have the opportunity here with some of our players to reach that pedestal? Well, first things first, what's iconic in sports mean to you? Well, when I think icon, I think Jesse Owens and his performance in the 1936 Olympics. Not that I was around, but I remember growing up hearing the legend and seeing some of those pictures and some of the moving pictures, even though film was obviously kind of new at that time. I think of Babe Ruth. I think of Hank Aaron. I think of Cal Ripken when it comes to baseball. In basketball, I think of Larry Bird, Magic Johnson, Michael Jordan. In football, well, you know, I got to go back through all the old NFL films I saw as a kid and reminisce and think of the images of coaches like Vince Lombardi, Tom Landry, the likes and players like Dick Butkus, Mean Joe Green, Ed Too Tall Jones, Joe Montana, Walter Payton, Jerry Rice, and recently our own Richard Sherman. I think of bringing Richard into that, and I say, wait a minute. Am I really saying that after only 3 years in the NFL, Richard Sherman is an icon? Well, he's an icon now, but he's because of his brilliance on and off the field. He will only be a historical icon if he can keep it up. Now, I mean that right now he's the talk of the town, but that's going to take time to build up as a career goes forward. And you think of those players I just mentioned. All of those players, regardless of time and how long it will pass, will all know who they are. Our children and their children will know who they were. An icon is someone who transcends time. When their name is mentioned, they represent the best of what they did. You typically must make an impact in an area other than what you specialize. And I mean that in, you think of the Beyoncés in the music world, the Jay-Z's. They're iconic because their style, their music, what they do also outside of just music, even though it might be still entertainment-based, it grows their image. It grows their iconic personality and self. So when Time voted to make Richard Sherman one of the most influential people recently, I took note that they included him in the pioneer group. It made me think about Richard Sherman and his ability to become an icon at the position of cornerback in the NFL. I mean, the last person I thought of, and really the only person I can think of that played that position that you could possibly put in this category, and I think is in this category as an icon, is someone like Deion Primetime Sanders. I mean, primetime. Everybody knows what that means. Well, based on what he's doing on the field, he is on the right track. His ability to relate with the public through social media and create national uproar with comments through that same media, he's becoming a household name. I mean, people in Florida know who Richard Sherman is. They also take note of his work on the field. and as the best cornerback, in my opinion, in the NFL. 20 interceptions in his first 3 seasons in the league, are 5 better than the second-place guy. That's 5 more interceptions, and it's hard to get an interception in the NFL. He's 5 better than the closest guy over that same period of time. That includes an 8-pick season in 2013 as well as 2012. But in 2013, he was also targeted the least of any quarterback in football. That's just staggering to think about. These numbers overall are unbelievable. Let's look at some of the other guys in his team and their ability to transcend as well. We mentioned people like Russell Wilson. I'll mention people like Earl Thomas and Marshawn Lynch. First, let's talk about Russell Wilson. He has a very good chance to become iconic. He's a trendsetter as a player in the NFL, and he's potentially giving hope to the short guy in a tall man's game. His numbers are good, but not off the charts. So mostly because of that and the offensive scheme the Seahawks run, I really think that his amazing work off the field will require still that he wins more championships to add to this immortality label as an icon. Earl Thomas, the best defensive player, in my opinion, again, in the NFL. Regardless of what I think, he's at least the best free safety, or safety in general in position, according to the National Football Know-It-Alls. Earl has become a more boisterous leader over the last year. And with this new contract, especially that happened today, he may become more of a media darling. That, with his success on the field, may help elevate him into this classification. Earl is a lot like Russell Wilson because he may need more championships to add into that order to become the icon. Being a part of the Legion of Boom also helps, I think, a great deal. Being a part of Richard Sherman's little club never hurts. Then there's Marshawn Lynch, beast mode. At the very least, he's a cult hero. I think we all could agree to that. Taste the rainbow. He's not an icon yet because he hasn't gone mainstream. I think he's, like I said, he's kind of a cult hero. It's crazy to think Marshawn Lynch is only 28 as of last week. I mean, really, honestly, amazing. And he stayed so healthy for the most part with his vicious running style. If beast mode can keep racking up 1,000-yard seasons at the young age that he has, and with all the previous success he's already had coming out of Cal at an early age, he will move towards that immortality outside of the Pacific Northwest. I think people will there'll be more of an affinity to him, especially since we won a championship. His affinity for Skittles gives him the potential to be an icon even more, especially in the social media and kind of outside of football area. Marshawn Lynch is an interesting potential candidate in this club. I think it really is, to reach the iconic status. Because as someone who, he doesn't have, well, how do you say this? Well, I think it's fun to talk about, but he's not someone that really enjoys the limelight. He's not someone that talks openly to the media. I think it's fun to talk about this subject as we look forward towards the 2014 season, which is rapidly approaching. The contract extensions of Earl Thomas today and potential extension of Richard Sherman looming. The pieces are moving on the board to set up a title defense. Winning back-to-back championships can make a team an icon. A player is another story. You need to do something great as an individual to separate yourself from the rest. We have those types of talents here. They're young, talented, and exciting players on this Seahawks team. There's so much potential going forward, and I appreciate that these players can reach such amazing levels personally by contributing to make history in this community. Let's keep it positive, 12s, and let's help show these guys we love them. Icon or not, you're a Seahawk. That's all that matters. Okay, we're going to go ahead and get into the Hawks 12, but before we do, I have something I want to play for you as we ramp up for the first topic of the evening. Earl Thomas signed an extension today.
Thanks for coming out, everybody. This is a very historic day for the Seattle Seahawks organization. On behalf of very exciting day for the 12s, obviously, the whole community, Earl's community and family down in Texas. But so on behalf of Paul Allen, Pete Carroll, Peter McLaughlin, I'm very excited to announce that Earl Thomas is going to be a Seahawk for a long time here. Okay, and sure. What I would say about Earl, and I'm going to turn over to Pete real quick, is that when you go out doing what I do and looking for professional football players, scouting in colleges, this is what you're looking for right here. You're looking for a guy with this type of intensity, integrity, work ethic, passion. And the bottom line about this gentleman right here is that he is a young man that wants to be great. And it permeates throughout the building, permeates throughout his team, and you can just feel the energy from this man. And I can't tell you how proud we are to have drafted Earl 4 years ago already, Earl.
Right.
Hey, we were sitting up here. It's pretty cool. It's a great deal. We're very excited for Earl and his beautiful family. And so with that, I'm going to turn it over to Pete.
I think the thing that comes to the front for me is this program has always been based on competition. And when we look for players and coaches to add to a club, we're always looking for great competitors. And when we had the chance to take Earl, I don't know that I appreciated it as much as I do now, the great competitor that he is. He has, throughout the time he's been with us, as a very young man, has played at the highest level he could possibly generate every single day that he's played for us in this organization. And he has been one of the pillars of the mentality that we want, that has become championship for us. And so for us to have this opportunity to recognize that and recognize a guy that's at the top of his game, playing in the style that he does and representing so well, it's a very proud moment for us. And so we're thrilled for Earl and his family, thrilled for his teammates too, because the organization and John has been able to put this together where we have demonstrated what we believe in, that we support our guys, and particularly the guys that battle like Earl does and like so many of our guys do. We will continue to do that. So it's a great statement, and it's a great moment, and we're really proud, and I couldn't be more excited for him.
Because it's not about me. It's about the people that helped me along the way, too. So I think we all, when I say I'm in, it's not about just football to me. You know, it's about the connection that I'm starting to really realize when you really use your resources right, some magic can happen, you know. And that Super Bowl season was, like I said, it's not about football. It was more than that to me. I grew as a man. This was where I grew up because I came out of college so early. So I love this place. It's very dear to my heart, and it's very sacred. And, you know, just the 12s out there, I couldn't play for a better place. I'm excited to keep this thing rolling. But I wanted a clear conscience going into camp and everything because I take the mental side of football very seriously, and I don't like distractions. Like today being late to this meeting, come on, family, let's go. You know, I was really kind of upset. I got pulled over by the police, you know. So this was kind of a whirlwind trying to get here. But, you know, everything happened for a reason. Man, this is just a great moment, even with the bad.
Did you really get pulled over?
Definitely. I didn't make it up.
Where were you?
Right down the street.
Did the cop know who you were?
Well, I didn't try to, like, bulldog him and say, my name is Earl Thomas, because then he'll be like, man, this dude is cocky and give me a ticket. But he let me off. That's the moral of the story. He let me off.
He's a 12.
Yeah. It's just a commitment, you know. I think I'm very committed to this organization, and just to see that love back, like I told Coach Carroll yesterday, you know, I need you to be totally honest. I need you to be real with me because I'm a realist. So you never know what you say to me that might trigger something back in my past that'll bring it back. It's like that divine reassurance. Like, man, this is why I am who I am. I kind of lost sight of why I get so crazy when the practice squad player, and I know he's not going to play on Sunday, that's just who I am, you know. I'm excited about this sport. I'm excited about everything. And if I can add one more thing is people always say, how come Seattle can have 5th round or 6th round corners and they can have so much success? Well, 2-9 is right here. I'm pushing that thing, you know. I'm dead serious. I say that as humbly as possible, though.
When people ask you what's next, what is your...
That's not the ultimate goal, though. The ultimate goal is how many times you can do it. Like when people win something, they kind of relax. The challenge is not to relax. I never lost sight of everything, so I don't have to recapture what happened last year, you know. So we'll just see what happens.
I think that's actually very important, and what Earl's talking about there, and that's what I'm talking about, that attitude that permeates, you know, starting with Pete, guys like Earl. We've been attacking this thing since we were in the playoffs to get to this day and how we're moving forward, and we're going to continue doing that as long as we're here.
All right, well, this last bit of the show, this first 3 topics before I take a break here, and I'll come back with Joshua Davis of 12th Man Rising. Again, I want to mention our sponsor, TYJ Movement. Please do check out all the great gear at TYJ Movement. Their hip and stylish designs will dress you for every occasion. Do yourself the pleasure of joining up with the TYJ Movement at tyjmovement.com. And again, remember to use the Paul20T code to get percentage off, and let them know that I sent you, okay? All right, we're going to take a quick break, come back with our good friend Joshua Davis from 12th Man Rising. But in the meantime, let's listen to a little of our friend Norb Kalwili from NorbCam over on YouTube. His great work with his music and his videos, his vlogging, talking about the Seahawks and his girls that he gets to have in the car as he picks them up at school every day. It is a fun little show to watch. I advise everybody to take a look at it, put it on the subscription list on YouTube. But listen to some of the music. The tracks that he puts together are fantastic. Here's one for the Seahawks, Win, Win, Win.
With the fight, he's taking control. The one that we trust. The name is Russell Wilson and he's dangerous. We're bigger, faster, stronger, louder than yours. We want the ball.
there's a little winner from Eastlake Community Church after Norb Cowwheely's a great epic piece, win-win-win. We are back here with Paul Beyer and now joined by Joshua Davis of 12th Man Rising. This is 12 for 12, your weekly Tuesday valuation of everything Seahawks. 12 topics for the 12th man. Josh, how are you doing tonight?
What up, 12? I'm doing good. Paul, how you doing, man?
Good. It's been a busy week, busy day in our world. Just real quick, I'd love to get your thoughts on Richard, I should say back up there, because we all expect Richard Sherman to sign an extension quickly, but Earl Thomas signing his 4-year extension today in that press conference down at the VMAC. Just your thoughts on this big day for Earl and the franchise.
Yeah, man. I mean, we knew this was coming, right? Earl Thomas I think a lot of people think he's the top safety, and, if he's not, I don't know who's above him. But this guy, he's a guy you had to lock up in the prime of his career. Some guys think he's the best defender, in the game right now. And Seattle did him right, put him up there. He's the top paid safety now, and I'm real happy for him, and that's exciting.
Well, it's awesome. I agree with you. I already played a little bit of it earlier, so some of the press conference. Let's get right into it because I know we got a little bit of limited time, and I want to get this covered, especially this first topic, which I think is a big one. The schedule came out last week. Obviously, now we have an opportunity to digest it. I know that you spent some time. You wrote an article about some of the national pundits out there and their thoughts on it. First things first. When you looked at the schedule, what were your initial thoughts of what might transpire for us in 2014?
Oh man, I mean when you just look at it, and you look at the number of playoff teams and teams that you always think of as big name teams, the amount of primetime games or primetime level games is really impressive. Of course, they only got they got punished for being too good or whatever, and only got 2 primetime games, but the primetime level of game is way up there. And when you think about it, really, like, the biggest difference between now being a Super Bowl champion and before, every game's a primetime game now because everybody sees you on the schedule and you're the team, and everybody's gunning for you. So I think that's the number one difference. So everything really looks like a primetime game, but it should be a fun season to watch.
It's fun. I like what you said there because last year I think we could also admit that was also the case. I mean, coming off that run in the playoffs and that last-second loss against the Falcons, which still stings me, but I was happy afterwards at the same time because we knew we had so much good things going here. I think the rest of the league knew that they were in for a battle last year, but now the ante's been upped with the amount of teams. I mean, 8 playoff teams, 10 if you include the Cardinals, and 12 if you really think of the Rams now as being in that same grouping because they are going to be tough as nails, especially with those 2 early first-round draft picks. I only counted 3 gimmies, really, the Giants, the Raiders, and the Cowboys. And, I mean, you could even make an argument the Giants and the Cowboys could be, somewhat difficult. I still have us maybe going in that 13-3 area. What do you think the possibility is for a record?
I don't think 13-3 is out of the question at all. When you look at what happened last year, the teams they beat to get to 13-3 and the way they did it and the way they ended the season, I mean, I don't think that's out of the question. Just because of the way the schedule sets up with that bye week early, there's a chance for a letdown here and there. I'd say 12-4 is probably a legitimate expectation. So, but 13-3, even 14-2, it's a good possibility.
Now, I know we didn't have this on our show sheet, but do you think that the losses will mainly come from inside our own division? And then if that's the case, could that maybe hurt us when you think of tiebreakers with other teams in other divisions because our quote-unquote divisional record might be closer to 500 as opposed to higher, and then obviously hurt us in tiebreakers when it comes to home field advantages?
Well, that's an interesting question only because I think the the going thought is that the best teams are in the NFC West. Maybe 3 of, the best 4 in the NFC are all in the West, with Arizona. And so, you'd have to think that losses are definitely higher chance inside the conference. Everybody knows each other so well. Every game's like scratch and claw, so it's going to come right down to the last possession or two. And so looking from the outside looking in, I think it's a legitimate expectation that those losses would come in the conference or in the division, excuse me. But at the same time, there are some good teams out there. Green Bay's reloading, New Orleans is reloading. So I think every team in the NFC West is going to have a tough challenge outside as well, and it's going to be, who can stay away from losing the game they shouldn't lose, coming down to the last week, and who's got that home field advantage.
Do you think that, other than the 49ers and really any of our divisional games, what are a couple of the games that just really stick out to you as you're real excited to watch?
Couple of the games I'm really excited to watch. I always love watching the Cowboys and Seahawks go at it. And then, of course, the Redskins is going to be, primetime game, so I'll be looking forward to that one. But, any of the first 5, really, you go Packers, Chargers, Broncos. Those are all playoff teams. And you got the Redskins and Cowboys. I always enjoy watching them. And then the 2 games at the end, the 49ers come up, 2 times in 3 weeks. So there's really not games that I'm not looking forward to watching. That's kind of part of being a Super Bowl champ, is, like I said, every game is that primetime game. So the schedule is just full of games that I'm really looking forward to watching.
I agree with you on that one. Let's move on. You wrote a real interesting piece regarding Adam Shine's comments on 12th Man Rising. And first of all, I read your work, so I'm an avid follower of all the sites, but I definitely follow what you're putting out there. Why don't you go ahead and start by explaining your position in the article and some of the things Adam discussed for those that hadn't had a chance to read it.
I appreciate it. Adam Adam is a longtime Seahawks advocate, right? Now, he back in 2012, after that draft, he gave Seattle a D, on his podcast or whatever, and then an F on one of his written articles. And he loved Russell Wilson, but he hated the rest of the draft, Bruce Irvin especially, and then he didn't understand the Bobby Wagner pick and the rest of the draft where Jeremy Lane came out to be something of a terrific backup, really. Outside of that, that's when, about half of the picks, and half of them really panned out, half of them haven't really. But so anyway, he's been a long time Seahawks distractor, I guess. I don't know. But anyway, he came out with this. Yeah. So he came out with this article, 9 Reasons Why the Seahawks Won't Repeat. And it wasn't a might not repeat. It wasn't a we'll have trouble repeating. It was a why they won't. And so I love the fact that national media does that, because that's how the Seahawks, thrive. That's what this team is built on. They bring in guys that are hungry, and that are really looking for a second chance or really looking to win right now. And Seattle gives them that chance. Richard Sherman, of course, the devil's advocate of everybody. And I think people love to hate the Seahawks, and he's one of those guys that loves to hate the Seahawks, and he wrote that article, and it's just the beginning, hopefully, of, what's a lot of negative comments, because the Seahawks thrive on that sort of stuff. So I get all warm and fuzzy inside when I see that type of stuff, because I know that you're giving the Seahawks an edge now. You're giving the Richard Shermans, the Earl Thomases, the guys that say that, well, they couldn't do it before, but they got it done, or one-time pony and whatnot. So it excites me personally.
I find it fascinating that there are so many different types of personalities on our team. We think of a Russell Wilson to a Richard Sherman, right? I mean, kind of a quiet, stoic leader, and then you've got the the big brass attacks on Richard Sherman, the boisterous. He'll say anything, anything to anyone, and give his opinion. But at the same time, they both revel in having that chip on their shoulder of people, like you said, disrespecting them. And Earl's now become a more boisterous leader, and he said it today. He's had that chip on his shoulder because when he brings in, he believes that if he's not ranked above Richard Sherman in the best players in the league, the top 100 list, he feels disrespected. I mean, that's the kind of – these guys compete against each other internally, not just with others. And I think the national pundits haven't grasped onto this compete mantra really. They think it might be just a joke, but it is real with these guys.
Yeah, and it's been real for – Pete Carroll's made it work, since USC. Ever since everybody said, well, the Pac-12 is a joke, so USC shouldn't be ranked where they're ranked, and then they go out and just blow people off the table, in bowls and whatnot. I mean, and then he comes here and it's the same thing. And it took a while to get there. I mean, how many freaking moves did we have to go through we didn't know who our team was from week to week for a long time. So, but he finally got guys, with chip on their shoulder and that are obviously talented that not a whole lot of other people saw, And so, it's been fun the way he's put it together, and Pete Carroll and John Snyder have been masterful in finding those guys that really want to compete. And, even though we have, now three of maybe the three best guys at their position in our back end all locked up for the next however many years, people are still talking about, well, they have too many primetime quarterbacks, too many big-name quarterbacks to be able to shut them all down this year, and they're going to fall apart and whatnot. So, it's interesting for sure.
I love that one. I mean, it's like they just forgot what just happened. I mean, they forgot what just happened 2 months ago and a week ago. I mean, guys, the best ever, Peyton Manning, arguably, got destroyed in front of the world. And it wasn't with any special blitzes. It was with 4 guys and the LOB right behind them and just making every single pass hurt, literally hurt. It's amazing. These guys forget this stuff. Well, let's move on. Let's keep with the LOB for a second, Joshua. And Richard Sherman. The contract news right now is that John Clayton came out that he thinks it's going to happen within the next 6 days. And I really I respect Joshua, or I respect John Clayton, the professor. So, just your thoughts currently on with Earl now getting paid. Is this going to happen before the draft for Richard?
I don't see why it wouldn't. But even if it doesn't, I mean, it's not a big deal. We know it's a priority. We know it's going to happen soon. And, sometimes these things take a little while to hammer out, just dotting the I's and crossing the T's. I mean, but they do want to make Richard, I think, the highest paid corner in the league now. And so that's pretty special that they're going to tie up all this money, close to $30 million in the back end of their defense, and then you got poor Byron Maxwell on the other side. He's going to be making chump change, basically, but he's almost as good as, the other three. So it's going to be, I don't think it's any big deal if it doesn't get done, but I don't see why it wouldn't get done.
I know this wasn't on our show sheet, but I want to ask you about this, and that is Earl getting paid and the structure of his contract, being 4 years, $40 million, 10 a year, with that big, huge $27.5, $28 million in guaranteed money. Do you think Sherm's contract would be similar? I mean, they're basically, similar in age. Well, Richard, I should say, is a little older, but close. And do you think Sherm's going to get a contract that's going to be similar in term, and I think it's going to be a little bigger, but similar in term and design?
Yeah, it's going to be just a little bit bigger just because of the position priority. But, I would think so, and I think, Sherman talked about, what was it, last week, the respect issue of teams taking care of their players. And, if he didn't, I think he'd feel a little bit disrespected if he didn't get that sort of a thing, sort of a deal. And I think he deserves it. So I don't see any reason why Seattle wouldn't go that direction and just guarantee a whole lot of money in his direction. So.
He's going to get paid. I think we all know that.
Yeah.
Well, let's get kind of the flip side of the Richard discussion of this week, and that was this whole Time magazine, and I had a commentary just a second talking about icons and how Richard Sherman potentially could fit into that discussion historically. And, they put him in this most influential list of 2013, I guess it would be. And they put him in the pioneers grouping. Just your thoughts on Richard Sherman getting this kind of national media hype in an area that, I'll be honest with you, I'm not surprised, but I kind of am surprised.
Yeah, Richard Sherman, well, he's kind of set himself up for this for the last 2-3 years. And we keep talking about how smart he is, and I think it's almost to us, in the Seattle area, it's almost, I don't know, overplayed how smart Richard Sherman is, and people still don't understand it. But when you see things like this, you kind of, it's the same thing Deion Sanders used to do, and guys in that that like to talk but are very smart about how they address certain things and how they go about their business. And it's just a different way of handling things, and I think he's most certainly a pioneer in that regard, and he's one of the most vocal guys in the league, and he's been setting himself up for a long time. That's just how he is, and people get annoyed with that. I think it's funny, and quite honestly fun to listen to. So
I don't know any 12s that don't like listening to him talk. That's the irony, comparatively speaking, to the rest of the league. Let's move on here, and this next topic is kind of a funny one, and I think here in Seattle it's hilarious. I don't know how the rest of the NFL thinks about it, and I kind of want to get your opinion on it, but this 49er fan is suing the NFL for, and I don't know if the Seahawks are named in the suit or not, but it's $50 million. I mean, just a ridiculous amount of money. Because he lived in Nevada, Las Vegas, and apparently speaking, he wasn't able to buy tickets for the Seahawks game in that NFC championship ball game against the Niners. I mean, what world? What's in this world the 49ers fans live in? What color is the sky? I mean, what is wrong with these people? And then there's this whole Bart situation and the color of the seats. What's wrong with 49ers fans?
What's wrong with him? Man, I don't know where to go with that one because my brother's a 49ers fan. No, he lives right down there in Oakland. He's a huge 49ers fan. But, yeah, I don't know what color the sky is, and I don't know what color the grass is. And I could kind of understand the seats. The seats were kind of close to Seattle color. I can see being outraged about that. If Seattle's, had Boeing going to red and burgundy and gold seating, I can see an uproar being caused. So I don't know. The 49ers fans are just really passionate, just like we are, and I think it happens actually all over the country. Philadelphia fans, whenever New York is brought up, or Washington, and especially now that Deshaun Jackson's moved over to Washington, that's going to get really heated. And there's just, I think it's just stuff that we don't necessarily see across the NFL, but I think rivalries all over the NFL are like this. And so it's just one of those things it's nice for once to be the team looking down, on the 49ers instead of them looking down and laughing at our petty miscues or arguments or whatnot, NFL suits. This isn't going anywhere, by the way. He's not going to win anything because Seattle has every right, just along with every other NFL team, to not sell their tickets to 49er fans if they don't want to. So,
and I mean, it makes sense because they're obviously it's a home game for them. They have the right to sell it to an area of the country where they're primarily their fans reside. Call it whatever you want, but you brought up something I think that we should talk about, and that is around the country how other teams and their fan groups not just are perceived but act. And I'm actually someone, I went to college in Minnesota, so I was able to go to Vikings games. I was able to go to Bears games. I've actually been to playoff games in Soldier Field, in the old field and the new field. I can honestly tell you from experience that Bears fans are probably the most irrational group of people on planet Earth. Listening to a Bears sports radio after a game, there's people that literally are thinking of killing themselves when the team is 8-1 and they lose a ball game. These are the people that came up with the joke that, how's Coach Ditka by himself going to beat the Philadelphia Eagles? And they really believe that he could. Just comment a little bit more on some of the different fan groups that you've maybe heard. I'd love to hear. You have family in Oakland, the Black Hole, and Raiders fans, and talk a little bit more about that and some of the groups that you've had relations and knowledge about.
Yeah, it's funny because he lives in Oakland, but he really hates the Raiders. I think I have more Raider friends here but he loves San Francisco, and so, obviously them, and then you got Dallas, and I think Dallas fans are so confident they can go undefeated every season, and they haven't made the playoffs in how long, and Philadelphia fans are crazy like that too, and Pittsburgh fans. So, I think the NFL is really special in that way. Their rivalries are so intense within their divisions that you could make a case for just about any fan base being irrational, at whatever point in time. And until last year, we were really irrational in how we viewed our team and our city. And, so it's really funny when you're on top. It's not so funny when you're, when you should be on top and you're not. And it's just kind of the cycle of things. But it is fun. The NFL is one of the best sports in the world for that sort of thing, the rivalry, sort of deal. So.
Yeah, it's similar to college, I'd say, with fans literally having a hatred for one another. You're a Coug, right? I'm not a Husky, but I actually am more of a Coug fan when it comes to Washington teams. That even though I'm a Sooner, that's where I grew up in Oklahoma, and unfortunately, you and I have, from a team standpoint, have gone up against each other in the Rose Bowl. It wasn't necessarily pretty, but we'll forget about that for now. But let's talk about. I want to ask you one more question about this fan thing, and that is, I've actually been lucky enough to go to a couple of great fields and see some of these visitor experiences from being the fan who's the enemy. And I can tell you, Pittsburgh, that's a place. Pittsburgh and Philadelphia are the last two places on earth I would go if I had a child and I was wearing Seahawks colors to a game. Violent. People are nasty, even more so than a college atmosphere, I'd say. However, when I went to the Soldier Field for the Bears game, it was bad, but it wasn't. A guy did take a swing at me, but he was so drunk he fell down. But it's still kind of a strange mix of really dirtbag, I hate you drunkenness, and then kind of wealthy types that are, you flew all the way out from Seattle. Is there a field that you, as a Seahawks fan, you would thinking twice of going into? Maybe tight-fitting jeans, Levi Stadium. Do you think it's going to be a tough place to play if you're a fan going to see a game there?
Yeah, I think the Levi Stadium is going to be more of a home field advantage than Candlestick era was. It's going to be people are really excited about getting up there and seeing games there, and they're going to pack it. And now with the recent success of the 12th man in Seattle, you think they're not going to want to be louder and pack that place and get crazy. So, yeah, that's definitely a place I would think twice about going. But at the same time, I wouldn't miss that if I could for the world, So. But, yeah, the couple places you mentioned, I've never been to a Dallas game, but I can't imagine they're very nice. And they're so overzealous about their team. Every play with them is like life or death. It's not, you don't get the whole strategy deal. You're either scoring or you're getting beat. There's a couple fields I might think about going. Think twice before going, but I'd love to go, man. I haven't actually been to an away game. I've been to only one Seahawks game is all I've been able to muster up in the hour that you get to be able to buy a ticket anymore.
Yep.
So,
it's spendy, and away trips are even tougher. I'll tell you though, going to see him on the road in a big game, that's fun. And even though we lost our playoff game, the one I went to in Chicago, there were so many great memories besides the guy taking a swing at me and falling down. But my life was threatened at least 20 times in the parking lot, I'll tell you that much. Well, let's move on to our last subject before you got to go tonight. And first of all, thanks again for being on. Again, Joshua Davis from 12th Man Rising is on with us right now on 12 for 12's radio. I want to talk about this Terrell Pryor trade, 7th-round pick, this year's draft choice, 7th-round pick, getting a quarterback in a quarterback room that I'm still not sure we need him. I've thought long and hard about this, but I want to get your opinion. What do you think of this trade, and how do you see it shaping up for the team?
You know, at first I kind of just waved my hand at it and said, whatever, he won't even make the team. But then the more I think about it, when you think about what Terrell Pryor was before the Raiders, you know, in college, when you think about what they get for a 7th-round pick, just to even try him out, that's probably better than any 7th-round quarterback you're going to get this year for sure. And obviously they're all about competition. And if you just have 2 quarterbacks that you know are going to start, you're not going to have any competition there. So the guy's a playmaker. You know, longest touchdown run, not just in Raiders history, but in NFL history for a quarterback, 93 yards. The guy can run. He's always had the question of can he throw the ball, but I mean he's a Rose Bowl champion. He's a parade, you know, he's a high school player of the year, Hall Trophy winner in 2007 for high school, and then he's in Heisman Trophy talks. The kid is naturally gifted, and I think that's where Pete Carroll loves to take guys, you know, that they're naturally gifted and nobody thinks they can do anything now that they've, you know, been in Oakland and that's where you go to die. You know, everybody says that's you go to Oakland to die, but he's a playmaker. And when you think about the forward-thinking aspect of the deal in general, again, you're not going to get another quarterback. Maybe he's not proven in the league, but you're not going to get another quarterback with that sort of talent, potential in the 7th round this year. You're just not. And as it is, the quarterbacks are being questioned in the 1st round, you know. So I think it's really exciting because you still only have Tavares locked up for 1 year. And what if you get lucky? You know, maybe you hold on to 3 quarterbacks this year or put him on the practice squad, and then he becomes your long-term backup to Russell Wilson. And he's got experience. He's got athleticism. He can manage a game here, and you can win. In Oakland, you couldn't do that. You had to go out and win the game. But I think he could manage a game here and win with the defense behind him. And so I think it's a forward-thinking sort of deal. You're not going to get a better quarterback in the 7th round. He's very talented. And you just hope he comes in and gives it your best shot, and then you see something that other teams didn't see in him.
The other flip side of this and people's discussions really centered around, well, the Seahawks have had great success in turning players that played one position around into another one, even at the pro level. J.R. Sweezy being a defensive tackle in college and becoming a guard now. Mike Morgan as a running back at USC and now an outside linebacker. Do you at all buy into this discussion that this is even a possibility of Terrell Pryor maybe switching to like a Y slot tight end position, someone maybe similar to like a Jimmy Graham? I mean, 6'4", 220, he's athletic freak, runs a sub 4.4 potentially. I mean, they haven't timed him recently. Do you think there's any merit to this discussion that he could change positions?
I think for Seattle, the recent history of Seattle actually trying that with quarterbacks is merits the discussion. I don't think, though, that Pete Carroll and Snyder were thinking that. You know, I don't think they were thinking, let's try and move him, just because of the way it sets up, bringing Rice back, and you have your receiver core. I don't think they'll try and do that. I think the discussion is valuable, but I don't think that's where they'll take it. I actually think they are thinking competition in the quarterback room right now. And so, and anything to improve athleticism at that position is valuable. What if something happens to Russell? I mean, he does have to run. He does take some hits. And if your offensive line doesn't improve, you're still going to take some big blows and stuff. So, and he's always scrambling. What if something, freak happens and now you need two quarterbacks? Maybe you have Terrell on the practice squad and can just kind of groom him into whatever you want. So I do think it's a competition deal for the quarterback room. But I do like the discussion of the other way, too. He's athletic enough to go in and play a different position. I just don't think that's where it's going here.
Okay. Well, first of all, thank you so much again for being on with us, Joshua. And, I hope you enjoy these times with us. And, we'll keep you in our system, and we'll keep reading and promoting your stuff over there at 12th Man Rising. Why don't you take a quick second and share with the 12s here that are listening right now and then on demand through our iTunes and TuneIn Radio, just how they can follow you and keep in touch with you on Twitter and whatnot.
Yeah, Twitter, I'm on allcoopdup.com, or at allcoopdup, excuse me. And then I run the blog for allcoopdup.com. And then I also write on 12thmanrising.com. So, yeah, just stay tuned with those. I enjoy writing for you guys. Thank you for reading so much. I really appreciate it. And, go Cougs, go Hawks. And, we're just getting done with spring football, so I got nothing but the draft to look forward to for the next 2 weeks. A week and a half, really.
On that. I know. Isn't it crazy that it seems like the Super Bowl just ended, and now we're really literally getting into 2014. So before you know it, it's going to be midsummer. Many camps are going to be starting. We're almost there. So, well, Josh, thanks again for being on. I really appreciate it. Go Hawks, like you said. I agree with you there. And have a wonderful night, and we'll keep in touch and keep promoting your stuff. Okay.
All right. Thanks, Paul.
You bet, buddy. Take care. All righty. Well, that is the topics for this evening. So let's go ahead and, first of all, start by thanking Joshua Davis from 12th Man Rising to joining us in the middle of our show to discuss some of the topics, especially the schedule, a lot of stuff going on with that. And obviously we've got a tough one coming up this year. Follow Joshua on Twitter at allcoogdup. That's ALLCOUGDUP. All Cooged Up. And that's on Twitter. He's a great follow, Joshua Davis. Also, be sure to follow all of his work on 12th Man Rising. He does a tremendous job getting reports in there. Usually every there's something. And follow him on 12th Man Rising. I was hoping to get the rest of their team tonight to have kind of a panel show, but weren't able to get that scheduled. But really, the 12th Man Rising team, on top of everybody else out there from Field Gulls and Hawk Blogger and Fan Jabs and all of the guys that I follow on a regular basis, do a great job. So these are real local guys doing local work about our team. Also, I'd like to thank all the little helpers out there, and they're not little, they're big helpers, the Phoebes, the Rachels, Joseph, Tina, all their retweets that they're doing, Tay, Jen. Thank you guys for, as part of being a double OT team that's helping with promotion assistance. I really mean it. I appreciate every minute of it. I spend a lot of time putting together these shows, and every little bit helps, and especially with the goals that I have on this show to grow it and continue its involvement with the 12s leading to the 2014 season, rapidly approaching. Note that all the interviews are going to be up on our 12 for 12s channel on YouTube. Please check those out. I have them all up. In fact, the latest interview I did with another radio station on Blog Talk, Warrior Sports, San Francisco 49er fan. It was very lively. It was a nice 30-minute interview there. Check it out. It's on our 12 for 12s page this week. Also on the website, 12for12s.com. Also, I mentioned this earlier, with all of our shows on the Double OT Network, including mine, 12 for 12s here, you can find them on iTunes and also on TuneIn Radio. And if you're not an Apple person, TuneIn Radio is an application, very simple to download in your market store. It's also available on iOS, so you can get it on Apple as well and Android. But check it out using just 12 for 12s. Put a space between the words. It's going to be there. You can find 12 for 12s, Double Overtime, Fourth and Short, and Sports Nerd Show. All of our stuff we do is there, folks. Tomorrow we'll be back, Double OT, with Tim, Barry, and I. We're going to talk Earl Thomas's contract extension, Mariners' trip to NYC they're currently on after getting a win tonight, and more. Random Shots is always fun on Wednesday, so listen in, a lot of humor. I'll tell you what, folks, another fun week, another fun show at 12 for 12s. Visit the website. Keep bringing it up. If you need anything, follow me on Twitter at PBizzle, PBIZZEL. I really appreciate everybody out there, and we'll keep this thing growing, okay? For now and until next week, good night, and thank you again for listening to 12 for 12s, hosted by Paul Beyer. Only 10 days till the draft. 10 days. I can't wait. Let's go ahead and rock out with a little You Know What's Coming. You know what's coming, everybody, if I can find it again. Yep, you know it's coming. A little Iron Maiden.
We want information. Information. Who are you? The new number 2. Who is number 1? You are number 6. I am not a number. I am a free man.
That's the show, folks. Thanks for tuning in for 12 for 12s. Visit 1212.com for more every day, 24/7 news on our Seahawks. This is your host, Paul Beyer. Good night, and go Hawks.